I just time traveled back to see the world's first computer with my own eyes. It's called ENIAC, and I've got some jaw dropping stories to share with you right now. Imagine this: I'm transported back to 1945, right after World War II ended. The air in America is buzzing with excitement and hope for new technology. I step into a building at the University of Pennsylvania, and the smell of machinery and the heat from glowing tubes hits me immediately. I push open the door to a massive room filled with this gigantic machine called ENIAC, Electronic Numerical Integrator and Computer, the world's first digital computer. I'm standing there, mouth wide open, because it looks nothing like the computers we use today. Here are the 5 mind-blowing things I experienced firsthand. 1. It was as big as a spaceship and weighed 27 tons. As soon as I walk into the room, I'm completely stunned. Picture this, friend. The room is huge, but it's packed with these massive steel cabinets stretching across the entire space. The ENIAC is about 100 feet long, 30 meters. It's so tall it reaches the ceiling with dozens of cabinets lined up, each one covered in tiny blinking lights that look like stars in the night sky. There are thick black cables everywhere, tangled up like a spider's web. I feel like I've just stepped into a spaceship from a sci-fi movie rather than a computer. One of the engineers comes over and tells me, "This thing weighs 27 tons, you know." I'm floored. 27 tons is as heavy as a truck. I start walking around it, trying to take in every detail because it's so massive I need time to see it all. There are control panels with hundreds of switches, dials, and little red and green lights blinking nonstop. I'm standing there thinking, if I had to move this thing, I'd need a crane for sure. What do you think, friend? Isn't that insane? 17,468 vacuum tubes that made it hotter than an oven. Then the engineers start the machine up for me to see, and I immediately feel the heat radiating from the ENIAC. They tell me it uses 17,468 vacuum tubes. Imagine that. These are little glass tubes, kind of like light bulbs, and each one glows brightly and gets super hot. I'm standing nearby, and it feels like I'm standing in front of an oven baking bread. One of the engineers, a guy named John, walks over and says, "We need giant fans running all the time, or the tubes will burn out." I look around and see these huge industrial fans in the corner of the room, blowing cool air at full blast, but even then, it's still so hot. Suddenly, I hear a loud pop. One of the tubes just blew. Everyone in the room jumps, and they rush to shut the machine down. I watch as they start searching for the broken tube, which is like finding a needle in a haystack with 17,000 plus tubes. John turns to me and says, "Some days the tubes blow 10 times, and we have to replace them all day long." I'm watching this chaos unfold, feeling bad for them, because if I had to replace tubes every day like that, I'd be exhausted. Imagine this, friend, the heat, the chaos, and the constant hum of the fans. It's such an exciting yet hectic scene. 3. It was lightning fast for its time, but slower than a modern calculator. Once they fix the tube, the engineers run a program for me to see. They tell me the ENIAC can do 5,000 additions or subtractions per second. I'm standing there, totally amazed, because back then, people had to do calculations by hand or with manual calculators, which could take days or even months. I watch as the engineers input data for calculating artillery trajectories, and the ENIAC starts working. The lights flash like crazy, and there's a faint whirring sound. In just a few seconds, it spits out the results. I'm clapping my hands because it's so fast for that era. But then John whispers to his colleague, "It's fast, but compared to modern calculators, it's slower." I overhear him and can't help but laugh because he's right. Our pocket calculators today are way faster than the ENIAC. I'm standing there thinking, if people from that time saw the computers we use now, their jaws would drop. What do you think, friend? Isn't that incredible? 4. Women were the heroes who made the ENIAC work. This is my favorite part. While I'm watching the engineers work, I notice a group of 6 women sitting in a circle in the corner of the room. They're busy connecting wires, flipping switches, and writing programs by hand. I walk over to say hi, and I get to talk to one of them named Kay McNulty. She tells me, "We're called the ENIAC 6, and we're the programmers who make this machine actually work." I'm standing there, completely in awe, because back then, Women in tech were barely recognized. Kay shares with me, we didn't have any manuals. We had to figure everything out through trial and error. Some days we'd connect hundreds of wires and adjust thousands of switches just to get the calculations right. I look at her hands, and they're covered in little scratches from working so hard. Her eyes are full of determination, and I'm so impressed I want to clap for her right then and there. But Kay says, back then, they didn't give us much credit. Women were often overlooked in this field. I feel so bad for her because without the ENIAC 6, this machine wouldn't have worked at all. I watched them work for a while longer, thinking to myself, these women are the real heroes of the computer world. What do you think, friend? Isn't that amazing? 5. The ENIAC was built for war, but it changed the world forever. Finally, I learned that the ENIAC was created to help with World War II. I'm standing there listening to John explain that the U.S. Army needed a machine to calculate artillery trajectories quickly, because doing it by hand was too slow and could put soldiers at a disadvantage in the war. He says, we had to calculate the paths of artillery shells with precision, which was so complex, it would take months by hand, but the ENIAC could do it in seconds. I see the hope in everyone's eyes in that room because this machine helped the military so much during the war. I'm standing there, feeling the excitement because it's like watching history unfold right in front of me. But I can't help thinking, if this machine had been used for more peaceful purposes, like research or medical advancements, it would have been even better, don't you think? What's even cooler is that even though the ENIAC was born for war, it became the starting point for modern computing. I'm looking at this machine thinking, if the ENIAC hadn't existed back then, we wouldn't have the computers we use today. And that's the 5 amazing facts I witnessed with my own eyes. I felt like I traveled back to the dawn of technology. It was thrilling, mind-blowing, and full of chaos. I saw the ENIAC in action, watched the engineers and programmers work their hearts out, heard the machine whirring, smelled the heat from the vacuum tubes, and felt the hope of the people in that era who pinned their dreams on this machine. Imagine this, friend. We got to go back in time to an event that changed the world forever. If I could time travel again, I'd take you with me so we could experience the excitement together. What do you think about all this?